6:02. Thank you all for being here. All right, so the goal tonight, we are back together as a full committee. It's been about a month, I think, that since we all connected. The goal of tonight is to really focus on the vision statements. So what I'll be asking is for the subcommittee chair to read their vision statement to the team and then really give each other feedback, ask questions, provide recommendations. The goal is to really fine tune these if needed. Everyone may feel like it's perfect, but if we feel like we need to tighten some things up, now is the time to provide that feedback. We're going to discuss just kind of briefly the next step, which is goals and objectives. We'll go over that spreadsheet that I recently sent out about the projects town is currently working on. And then we'll kind of end going over the timeline for completing the components phase, which is the vision, goals, and objectives, and then adjourn with any questions. So I'm going to do roll call again. It's more just to make sure you can hear me and I can hear you. So Chris, are you there?
I can hear you and I'm here.
All right. Karen Blakemore?
Here.
Okay. Ron?
Here.
All right. Let's try and see if we have a Tashna yet. Not yet. Jill, I think we can hear each other. Ari, are you there?
I am here.
Deb?
I'm here.
Okay. Kayla?
I'm here.
Billy?
Here.
Lee?
I'm here.
Okay, and it looks like we are still missing May, Natashna, and Tom, who said they're working on getting on. So I'll make note when they arrive. All right, so for our vision statement, I just kind of added in this brief slide that when you're reviewing each other's vision statements, things to really assess is whether or not they're concise, clear, future-oriented, stable, challenging, abstract, and inspiring. So those are what we want to be sure we're kind of hitting, not necessarily all 8 components, but just making sure that we're really focusing on the vision and that there's a set idea of where we're going. So I know we're missing May, so I'm going to skip this one and go and start with Deb, if you wouldn't mind sharing with us the vision statement, and we'll provide feedback.
Okay, cool. Community engagement. Community engagement fosters trust and encourages participation, is inclusive, interactive, and results in innovative partnerships. Sweet, concise, and to the point.
Does anyone have questions or feedback?
I mean, I like it. It's for community engagement. I mean, we want as many people engaged as possible. So this is good.
I also like it. I like that you keyed in on trust, inclusivity, interactive, innovation, partner. I like almost all those words. It's really
Excellent.
good.
So we have a winner?
I think it's great. Good job.
Yay.
Hey, Deb?
Yes.
It's Kayla.
Hi,
how
Kayla.
about the word respect?
Do you think trust does not address that, or should I mean, I can add respect.
Well, I think sometimes we have not shown the amount of respect to one another that we need to in social discourse in this community. And so I think some people, I'm trying to be, was that you, Ron, that laughed?
No, that was me.
That's a
I'm
great
trying
point,
to be
though.
as
She's got a point.
polite as possible, but I do think that that's one of the things that some people in the community are less forthright in being involved because they don't want to be subjected to the personal barrage that comes from putting your 2 cents worth in. So they just don't participate. And so I think if we are more respectful of one another, That might be one way of enticing more people to become involved.
So fosters trust and mutual respect, encouraging participation.
Well, or what you could do, I was just going to suggest you could say, is inclusive, respectful, interactive, and results in innovative partnerships. That might flow a little better.
Yeah.
Which fosters trust. I think the trust thing is.
Oh, it still starts. So community engagement fosters trust and encourages participation, semicolon, is respectful, inclusive, interactive, and results in innovative partnerships.
I like that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great.
Did you write that down? Because I just realized I couldn't edit the PowerPoint when you were talking.
Sure, I'll put it in the chat.
Pull it from there.
In the chat.
I can take it from the chat and put it in your Google Doc.
I just have to figure out where chat is.
Can you? Oh, you can see the screen. I didn't know if you could see it from your phone.
But Miranda can take it then and put it in the doc on the Google
can-
Drive.
That would be awesome.
Yep, definitely.
And just email to me separately. That would
Cool.
be perfect. Thank you. Cool. Thanks, Kayla.
Hey, thank you.
Absolutely. So, can you read it one more time just for sure?
Sure. So I'm just about to add it to the chat. I've got to put everyone. Oh well. Anyways, community engagement fosters trust and encourages participation, is respectful, inclusive, interactive, and results in innovative partnerships.
Okay, got it. I see what you
I
did.
think the semicolon is grammatically incorrect.
Should it be a colon?
I
Should
think the
be a
colon
comma.
could be replaced with and.
There you
And is inclusive.
Community engagement fosters trust and encourages participation.
And is respectful, inclusive, interactive, and results in innovative partnerships.
That's now
And-
run on. Mm-hmm.
And instead of using the last and, put, okay, dang, results in instead of and,
Resulting in.
resulting instead of another and, because we had and.
Right, that was my thing.
And is inclusive, respectful,
Yeah.
interactive, resulting in. I think
Well-
you do need another and, though.
So can we wordsmith this and then get back to it?
We can just put a comma. Just use a
Right.
comma.
Oh, instead of the semicolon?
Yeah. Or we could continue to work on it, but yeah.
Okay, for now we'll pull the semicolon and put a comma there and then throw it over to, I'm going to throw it to one of my friends who's a grammatical genius.
You
English
could
professor?
reply, you could say the process is inclusive, respective, and results in innovative partnerships. So 2 sentences.
I'm not sure why the chat is not letting me send to everybody. I've only been able to send it to Billy for some reason.
But Karen,
but-
if you do the drop-down menu, you don't see
Yeah.
everyone at the top?
No, and normally I do. And, I've been doing this a long time. I see Miranda at the top, but I don't see everyone.
Do you
Well,
want to just send
anyways,
it
To
to me?
you? Yeah.
So right now I'm looking at community engagement fosters trust and encourages participation, is respectful, inclusive, interactive, and results in innovative partnerships.
Yeah, and I just took out the other and, so it says community engagement fosters trust, encourages participation, and is respectful, inclusive, interactive, resulting in innovative partnerships. So
Perfect.
like you
That
say,
works.
Deb, that might need a little bit more grammar tweaking, but I
Yeah.
think everybody has the gist of it.
Yep.
Okay, cool. You're welcome, Corey. Oops, sorry.
I was gonna say, Karen, I think the one you sent me doesn't read quite the same way what you just read. So will you send me what you read?
Sure. I don't know why I can't see everyone. It's so weird.
It's weird.
I always can normally. But yeah, I will send that to you.
When you see send to, you see Miranda Fisher. If you go to the little arrow to the right of her name, it should pull up.
I'm there, and yeah,
You see a little
I mean,
arrow
I've been
next
doing. Yep, I've been doing these a long time, and for some reason, I don't have a choice to do everyone. Everybody's listed, but not everyone. So I'm not sure what that's about.
Well, I typed it up in an email, and I was just sitting here staring at it. So we've got community engagement fosters trust, encourages participation, and is respectful, inclusive, interactive, resulting in innovative partnerships. Okay, I've got to throw this to somebody who's an English person, an English major, to take a look at it and tweak it out. But does that have all the components that you're looking for?
Does the committee have anything else to add, or you feel like community engagement's good to run off of what Deb just read?
I think it's great.
Agreed.
Okay. I think you have approval to move forward. Unless, Billy, I saw you come off mute. Anything?
I just think you did a great job of making it concise but extremely comprehensive. So good job.
Awesome. Thanks.
Miranda, I just sent that to you again in
I saw it.
chat.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
sure.
All right. Well, one down.
Woo!
So May, we had jumped over arts, culture, and education. Just waiting for you to jump on, and so I'm going to go back. What we're asking is, as the chair, you read the vision statement, and then everyone will give their feedback. So I'm going to go back. Oh, and turn it over to you.
Okay. Well, it reads arts, culture, and education empower and celebrate our community's creative and cultural resources. So I think we wanted to maintain kind of a homegrown orientation toward arts. And I did send a memo to everybody about that's a little bit more pointed, because really, even though arts, culture, and education is something that we might think is an easy pass, it is, in a sense, the most important part, because it can be the guiding principle for a lot which follows. So, I mean, do we have a culture of respect for nature? Do we have a culture for respect for indigenous wisdom? Are we committed to working with the schools to help empower them and the town to attract the kind of population they need to keep going? So even though it's short, I'd ask you to consider both that and the memo that I sent. So that's all I have. Does anybody have any ideas on that? I got your feedback, Jill. Thank you for that.
Hello. I have one. I'm wondering if we could, because anytime I think of an artist or somebody with cultures that they want to express, that's the word that comes to mind, is expression. So would it be okay if we also put communities' creative, cultural resources and expression, or something of that manner?
Well, that's a specific thing that we'd be wanting to do, but I kind of like the idea of expression.
Creative expression.
I think that gives an idea, though, of creative expression in the terms of the arts, and I think that's good. Creative and cultural, see, resources and expression. I'd like to keep cultural as a modifier for expression as well as creative, but with that, I would think so, yes.
Well, maybe empower and celebrate our community's creative and knowledge of cultural and natural resources.
Yeah, but then we leave out creative. How about empower and celebrate our community's creative and cultural resources and expression?
I think it leaves out education, but I'm not sure why I'm thinking that. So,
Jill, I
That's
have the
why I
same
said,
comment.
I don't see education in there.
well, cultural and creative teaching is part of education, but are we really committed to finding an identity for the town that the schools can become a part of?
When I'm reading it out loud or just in my head to myself, I'm thinking the empower and celebrate our community's creative expression and cultural resources, right? Like it includes everything just by adding expression after creative. But if that doesn't flow, I totally get it.
Creativity.
Yeah.
And cultural.
Then take out resources, do creativity and cultural expression.
But I still don't see education in there. But I'm not sure.
Well, our
where
community
where education is in there. Maybe the empower word.
Well, I don't know. I think all those words would apply to people of any age. What would you suggest, Jill?
Empower and celebrate our community's creativity. Like I want to say with knowledge of cultural and natural resources, or somewhere I think let's see, empower and celebrate our community's creativity. I think
how about this? How about this? How about empower our schools and celebrate our community's creative expression and cultural resources?
I like that one.
That's great.
I like that.
I was thinking along the same lines as Lee there, but opening it up to more outside of just the schools and something along the lines of celebrate our community's creative and cultural resources and empower the lifelong learning of our community in these, kind of do the whole lifelong bit. So it's, it's the schools, it's the nonprofits, it's adults, it's all of it.
Yeah, but I like Lee's because we need to focus on the schools, Chris, because they're in a crisis. So, and they need to be empowered.
But I think that education is I think education's a community issue, just the schools. I would
agree
with the lifelong learning. That
I agree
people
with
are
Jill.
lifelong learners.
I have the 2020 education vision pulled up that I could read. It says, in 2020, every student in Netherlands schools is afforded the opportunity to succeed regardless of ability. Netherlands' education system is strong, has high levels of parental involvement, and higher than average youth retention rates.
What was the title of that vision? What was the title of that?
In 2020?
Yeah, this is paper, I think.
Well, I think that if I were a wealthy parent thinking about relocating to Netherlands, that wouldn't really grab me. I think if something like, our schools enjoy a dynamic partnership with Wild Bear and local biologists and, experts in different things and, yada, 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 then people who are serious about their children's education. I mean, I think in a certain sense, we have to continue to attract people that can afford to live here, but we want to attract students. So it is. This is awesome that there is discussion on this, because so many times, and we hashed this out at our original meeting, Deb and Amanda and I, and we really did talk about. In fact, I think my original thing, I don't know where my notes are now, but I talked about that, and we think that's important. Um,
But this is a vision. This is a vision for all of 2030. So I mean, like, if just for a subjective viewpoint, I'm not so much thinking about, being a wealthy parent and builder, because that's not the reality of where we are. We're thinking about the students now who need to graduate, who are in it right now, not people moving. But neither here nor there, I think it's also important to really dedicate to our schools, like you're saying, May, but also not discount any other population that would want to learn or have an education in any of these aspects, any age.
I think the problem here is that you've got two subjects that you're trying to put together in one category. I almost think education, the schools, the learning possibilities are a subset all unto themselves. Arts and education, everything is interrelated. All of the groups, we're all bumping into one another in some way or another. But I think to put arts and education, arts, culture, and the education in the schools should be a category all to themselves that sort of overrides everything else, that we all play into the schools, whether it's arts and culture, whether it's making sure that the traffic is safe for the kids, whether it's learning about the environment, whether it's creating housing that will allow families to come here and live, that they can afford to move to this community. So all of, everything else sort of feeds into that. I think we're having a problem, because if we talk about the arts, that's one thing. If we talk about education, it's another. And to try to put them together, it dilutes both of them in a way. Does that make sense?
One option, so municipal government and economic development, they actually did come up with two separate vision statements because they were so distinct. And so if this committee feels this could be tasked back to the Arts, Culture, and Education Subcommittee to potentially come up with two vision statements, and maybe the one we have here with adding in expression could be appropriate for arts and culture, and then Deb, May, and Sarah could work on a separate one for education.
Well, I don't know how to raise my hand. I've been trying to, I don't know how to do that with this. Because I think that everyone's very focused on the schools. At least that's what I think I'm hearing. And, arts, culture, and education could be Miners' Day. Education could be the Mining Museum. Education could be Keen Zig. Education could be Wild Bear. Education could be from a historical perspective. And so sort of mushing around, because I think education does fall into arts and culture and education, because it's education about our history, not necessarily just about our schools.
I agree.
I don't really think that that the school component necessarily is exclusive or inclusive. I think that we're sort of doing a general overview saying we want to take art, culture, and education and help educate people through arts and culture as to what our town is about. So the vision statement, listening to you guys sort of kick ideas around, that I typed up, I only changed a little bit, was celebrate our community's creative and cultural resources while empowering lifelong learning.
Ooh, that's good.
Yay!
Yeah.
Bingo. That's really
That's the
good.
one.
Woo!
Okay.
Now, will you do me a favor and just repeat that back one more time?
I'll just I could copy paste and send you an email too.
Okay.
I think I captured it. Celebrate our community's creative and cultural resources by empowering lifelong learning.
While.
Yay.
Instead of by,
No.
instead
Perfect.
of by, while. Yeah.
While empowering, not by. Okay.
Exactly. While. Because through arts and education, through like historical plaques or through, things that are around town that educate people.
Right.
Were
And I just want to say, this is what I studied in school, and education is considered a cultural resource. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
cool.
Yeah.
So,
Could we change creative to creativity?
Sure. Celebrate our community's creativity and cultural resources while empowering lifelong learning.
sure. I'm not gonna mince. That's fine.
That's even better.
So we're
I think
missing
that
that expression though. So I don't know, Ari, I just want to make sure that Ari feels like this still mirrors what she was looking for.
Yeah, it definitely got there. It doesn't even have to use that word because you kind of get that sense in the new one you got that just got made. So yeah, I do. I'm all good.
So celebrate our community's creativity and cultural resources while empowering lifelong learning.
Okay, I would just add cultural and natural resources because it seems a little empty there. And I've heard that brought up a couple times. And it ties into my idea of a central theme that everybody kind of seems to agree on. How do people feel about adding the word natural? It fits into the lifelong learning thing.
Jill, I defer to you.
Agree with it.
Excuse me?
Defer to
Me?
you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. I always want to shout out on natural resources.
Yeah, I can't get too much.
There
of that,
is
so-
overlap though, because you have cultural resources that are natural as well. So
Yeah.
I'm just putting that out there. It could be repetitive and overlapping. But that's
Yeah,
okay too.
But if you think of like a powwow or a miner's day as a cultural resource, and then you think about our new wetland as a natural resource, then I think it makes sense to enunciate that.
I mean,
So Deb, do you have that? Or are we, what do you
Sure.
think of that, Deb?
So what I've got, adding in what you had said, May, is celebrate our community's creativity, natural and cultural resources while empowering lifelong learning.
Now it really flows. I like that.
That's nice.
So is that a thumbs up?
That's a big thumbs up. I like
Yep.
it.
2 thumbs.
Excellent.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
That's right.
Yeah, this is great discussions. Perfect. All right. Moving right along, we now will go to environmental sustainability. And Karen, turn it over to you.
Okay. So we have Nederland is a model community for environmental sustainability. Our community is knowledgeable about how our everyday decisions impact the earth. We take action to mitigate adverse effects of climate change. We are dedicated to conserve, preserve, protect, and restore our environment to foster a sustainable future that leads to social and economic improvements in our community. Do you think we missed anything?
I
I
think
really
you're
like that.
pigeonholing.
Karen.
Sorry, jumped in. We throw the word sustainable around a lot, and it can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. that whole section that you read speaks just entirely about the environment, and if that's your goal, I think it's great. But to be sustainable economically has an effect on the environment. To be sustainable in housing, it has an effect on the natural environment. So to be sustainable in the environment has an effect on the economy, housing, all of the other things. The word shifts around depending upon what your specific definition is. So I don't know whether you want this to just read about wholly the environment, the natural environment, or if that's what your goal is, I think it's great.
Yeah, the intent is specifically the environment.
Okay.
But as you said, there's interactions between sustainability in the environment, a sustainable economy, and a sustainable social system. Now, we are looking at things like transportation and things that we can do in the economy, like sustainable businesses that would have zero waste, have a effect on our environmental changes that we can make that will have a positive effect in other areas too, like the economy and society.
Can I throw one thing
Yeah.
out there, Karen? This is
Yeah.
Billy. So yeah, initially I think our group or our subtopic was called like sustainability and environment, or environment and sustainability, and kind of based on what you had said, Tasha, I think a month ago or 4 weeks ago about like, that we really need to define what sustainability means. Maybe for that and other reasons, we combined it into one, and I think just what Karen said, we kind of decided the overarching thing would be environmental sustainability, and the other stuff we're working on, we'll get more we'll get more specific on how environmental sustainability might apply to those. And I think I also remember that supposedly each of the other subgroups was tying in sustainability into their goals and objectives. So part of what we did was we combined our initial titles into one to help define it.
But actually, to Kayla's point, we have the word sustain 3 times in this little piece of writing. I do think it is an overused word, and it sometimes lacks definition for most people. Yeah, I do think it's worth thinking about that word specifically. And, for example, maybe under protect and restore our environment to foster a healthy future, or some other word than sustainable, because we do have it 3 times.
Okay.
And we could consider a different way of expressing the first sentence so we're not repeating the title. A model community for environmental or a healthy planet. Or I don't know, I think that the point is valid because it is an overused word and we overused it ourselves.
I mean, my 2 cents is that we just get rid of the 3 sub-bullets and just have the one sentence that says it all. And maybe we have to tie in some of those meanings, but some of those other subtopics, but on some level,
I could go with that.
The first sentence says it all.
That one sentence. And I mean, the goals and objectives that we're putting in place address education, so making the community knowledgeable. They address mitigations for climate change. They address things to protect and restore our environment.
Do you mean the goals do?
Yeah, the goals and objectives.
Yeah,
So
I think that's valid.
So I'd be fine with that one sentence.
I still think environmental sustainability in a sentence is the same as the title. We might want to kind of express that a little further. comma.
Jill, I think that title is just calling out what the name of the vision statement is. It's just
Oh,
like
gotcha.
arts, cultures, education.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it's just a marker.
gotcha. Okay.
I
Well,
guess
I have oh, I'm sorry.
I guess
Go
I'd
ahead.
like to just get a vote on whether people like the bullets or no bullets.
I love them. So I did want to mention that I really like your style of the way you guys did with the we's that I'm seeing here. We take action, we are dedicated.
Mhm.
After Netherlands is a model community, gives that accountability factor. You know, we have a personal responsibility that's being put on us by us. So I like this. I like how it goes into more. So I like the way it is. I think it looks wonderful.
Can we just have a raise of hands on the bullets? If you're in favor of the bullets, just so we can
I like the
see
bullets.
what it looks like. I can't even-
I
I'm
actually,
not sure everyone has the raise hand feature tonight, unfortunately. But
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't know how to do a raised hand, but this is Deb. I sort of reworded it. I'll wait to hear what you guys, whether you want to keep the bullets or not, because I took away the bullets.
I'd like to hear the reword either way. Really, but
Please.
I mean, what Ari just pointed out makes me a little more happy with the bullets we had in there, I guess. I do like the
Agreed.
we statements.
I like the bullets.
okay, so does anyone object to the bullets? No?
I don't object. I like, for a vision statement, I like something that's really compact.
Mm.
And I think that I just took your first sentence, where Netherlands is a model community for environmental sustainability, where we are dedicated to conserve, preserve. So I took your first sentence and your last one, and just put a comma in where.
Yeah.
Because I think that your last sentence actually really talks to the other bullet points. It's almost repetitive.
Yeah, I agree.
I think our conversation, though, was that we felt we should call out climate change somewhere. So, you know, that was just kind of thrown in there for that reason. But maybe it's, I don't know.
I'm not sure how we come to a decision on this. You know, we went through a lot of different iterations, and at one time we had that last bullet as a separate vision, and we had the model community as separate. Yeah.
Deb said about combining it into one in that way, and we still, I mean, you know, if we were to let the bullets go, you know, it still has the we element in the second part of the you know, small paragraph statement. But I think one issue we still have is the word sustainable would show up twice in that sentence. Sustainable and sustainable. So we'd have to doctor that up.
Oh, okay. Fix the sustainable. I think I'd like to keep this as is, because and then we can shorten it later. Decide that would be best, just because like someone said, it really holds us accountable on the education part of it. It calls out climate change, and we are striving to be a model community. We want to do some bold things that we think we can accomplish because we're, you know, a small community, and we're kind of, we believe everyone who lives here and is part of the community is really supports the environment. So that would
and I
be.
believe May had some feedback. She raised her hand.
Okay, May.
Well, thanks for the opportunity. And I think you guys did great work on this. I like that you do have the bullet points. Just going back to that word sustainability and tying into the idea of education, I would suggest the word awareness instead of sustainability in the first sentence. So environmental awareness. And then sustainable future, we could think about that, because I think the problem, Karen, you say we live in a small town,
Mhm.
and we do. And thanks to Miranda and Roger Cornell, we now have the 1994 comp plan available to review.
Mhm.
And, we used to talk about our diverse population and so forth. And the fact is that some of these regulations, to make it, you have to move forward evenly together. That's the way the Indians say it, in a way. And that is, I think in the legislative arena, we tend to, like, we focus on festivals, zero waste, zero waste. While a builder might throw away 2 dumpster loads of good lumber at the same time. Now, I know the town is working on fixing that, or they might be heating their house even though there's nobody in it. I'm just saying, when it comes to legislation, out of these things, strictly speaking, when you talk about sustainability, yeah, you want to use less energy and stuff, but we're not going to be putting watchdogs on everybody's utility poles, I suppose. So I like the idea of us being an educational town, but yet still diverse enough so that if somebody's living in a little cabin, if they want to add a bathroom or something, they don't have to install a sprinkler system and so on and so forth to upgrade to the wildland urban interface guidelines under the building codes. So I agree that word sustainability has been misused and may continue to be so. So, but I like the bullet points. We take action to mitigate adverse effects of climate change, starting with how we use energy ourselves. Anyway, I will mute myself.
Okay, can I put in one more 2 cents?
Yeah.
I think the thing that my initial reaction to what you were saying felt like, and maybe this was because of the bullet points, but it felt more like what you were saying were rules and facts as opposed to aspirations. And I thought this document was supposed to be factual but aspirational, and not a document that things are written in stone. And I think that's what May is sort of saying. It's like you might agree with this, but you're not going to, and we're not going to get everybody on board, but it's the majority. And what is the perception of this community that we want to put out to the rest of the world and to ourselves? Are we setting this up as an aspirational document, or are we writing things that are written in stone? So, if that makes sense to anybody.
Yeah.
Caleb,
Yeah.
where's the written in stone?
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think we wrote these to be aspirational. So if you can offer an edit that would, I mean, it's kind of like that, like positive imagery. It's like or whatever, you make a statement for your future as if this is what you will achieve. So that's definitely, I think, our thoughts on creating these. But if you have edits, I don't want to water it down to be like, this is optional completely. Definitely that just makes it not as focused. But at the same time, if there's wording that wouldn't come off as like regular, rules, feel free to offer it.
It seems like it's a vision, but also why can't a vision be a commitment? I mean, I don't think things have to be written in stone for you to commit to them to try to put forth effort. When I'm seeing this as a visionary, I'm seeing it with like loose guidelines to be able to tweak later. But
I think that's absolutely.
You can make a commitment to the vision itself.
Right, which is aspirational.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
That was definitely how we wrote it. So
maybe if you could read it again.
Oh, okay. I think it was how I read it, Kayla. Let me try again. The very first vision we had was we live in harmony with nature. So
I love it.
This is, yeah.
I like
I
it
forgot
too.
about that.
I think that's one that would fit on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
There
Okay.
you go.
Yeah,
Free love.
yeah.
Netherlands is a model community for environmental sustainability. Our community is knowledgeable about how our everyday decisions impact the earth. We take action to mitigate adverse effects of climate change. We are dedicated to conserve, preserve, protect, and restore our environment to foster a sustainable future that leads to social and economic improvements in our community.
Great.
And maybe we change that first sustainability to awareness. I like that suggestion that may have.
I think that weakens it personally. I'm sorry.
I think that weakens it big time.
Oh, okay.
I think it's
Sustainability is our
evaluated
focus.
later though.
I'm going to go with the consensus in my subcommittee, which is to leave that in then.
So does anyone have any objections to environmental sustainability subcommittee leaving this as is and continuing to seek feedback when we get to the public charrettes on it?
I think that sounds really good.
Okay, so I'm going to take that sound. All right. No changes to this one at this time. Thanks, Karen. Next up is Health, Human, and Social Services. So Ari, your turn.
Alrighty then. Health, Human, and Social Services in 2030, all peak-to-peak community residents have accessible and affordable healthcare and human services.
Yay.
Yeah, there it is. Thoughts, photos to throw at me, peanuts,
up.
whatever you want. Go for it.
Is housing part of that?
Housing is its own
Pretty.
subcommittee.
I like
Correct.
I
I was
like,
just, yeah, I love it. Miranda is right there for me. Yep, on their own committee.
I like that you're saying peak to peak community residents. I like that.
Thank you. We worked real hard on that one.
It took 18 minutes.
I like it.
Tom is keeping track, and I love that. We need someone to stay very organized and task oriented. So thank you, Tom.
You bet.
Anything you guys want to see added?
Short and sweet. It's wonderful.
Yeah, any
Nice.
statement that goes, it can go up to 24-point font and still fit on the slide is great.
I
Okay.
appreciate you took notice, Tom. Like some of these could be real big. No, I think it's great.
Detail oriented, isn't he?
May, I don't know if your hand is up new or if that was from before. So I apologize if it's from before.
I didn't mean to have my hand up.
Okay,
No, I'm fine with everything. Yep.
Cool.
sounds like no added. Kayla, anything?
No, I think it's fantastic.
Okay.
It's just absolutely to the point.
Man, you guys are making us blush. Thank you so much.
All right.
Yeah, as Lincoln said, it took me a long time to write this very short letter.
Great though. Okay, well, we'll keep moving right along. So housing, I'll turn it back over to May.
Well, hello again. Housing meets the social and economic and environmental needs of the community. So the reason we said environmental needs is wanting to introduce the concept in some way of habitat. So meets the social, economic, and environmental needs of the community. We have a lot of discussion going on this, and it's been a really spirited discussion. One of the things that's come up over and over again, of course, is traffic and traffic flow. And I wonder if anybody could clarify, is the new exchange that's being planned for Big Springs and the Peak to Peak, is that going to be a traffic circle?
It's not that far, May. It's only being researched. And there was a study done, and there were several different options. But let's focus on this vision statement and see if everybody is in alignment with you on that.
Okay, great.
Well, I like it because it's short.
All right.
It says what it needs and it's short.
When you guys say environmental needs, are we not just talking about physical environmental needs? You know, my mind goes right to work, which, excuse me for being biased, which is the ADA, Americans Disabilities Act, where within it is accessible as well, where people who, for example, have seizures have to have a first level floor apartment for health and safety hazard. Is environmental included?
Absolutely.
Ari,
Erin,
I would say that your ADA component slides under the social part of correct housing.
It certainly does.
Environmental, but that works too.
Yeah.
Well, we were thinking more of environmental as the actual environment of where it is, and well, I can see how you could think it was environmental, but to me, that's more of it's a physical, social. It's taking care of all members of our community.
Got you. Makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Thanks, Kayla. So anybody have anything else to add on this one?
Just a question. We're not, we don't talk at all about affordability. Is that an issue or something you can, that you're,
that's the economics.
Economics.
Okay.
Yeah, we're definitely working on that community. That
And May, I just want to correct my reply to you. I thought you were talking about the intersection over by Lakeview, but were you talking about the Big Springs intersection and the highway?
Oh, is it Lakeview, the one that turns out into Big Springs? Anyway.
Anyways, why don't you and I have that conversation offline?
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks. Yeah, guys, I think that this affordable housing thing, I mean, I talked to Kayla Melamed, who's the principal up at the elementary school, and the need for housing for teachers drove Tungsten Village. And he is not aware of a single teacher who's in there. In fact, he said that there's still more work to be done so that teachers can utilize that. And that the teacher who was the poster child for that, as far as he knows, is looking for housing. So I don't think that the affordable housing thing, that what we've done here in town, killing off short-term rentals and building for Tungsten Village, I think we have developers, and I know that, we're supposed to pretend that we live in a vacuum, but we have two people that have been working for at least a decade, if not more, on engineering some affordable housing. So I believe that if you are socially and morally aligned with a generous-minded community, that this speaks to that. And that's why I prefer not to put affordable in there myself.
Okay, does anybody else want to weigh in on this statement, or are we feeling like it's good to go?
I think it works.
I think it's good, and I can see the affordable part as being part of the economic statement. So,
2 thumbs up.
Thank you guys for your feedback. And we are doing a ton of work on this, all of us on the committee. Tashna hasn't spoken up at all, but we know she's spent tons of time on it. Go ahead and send comments. Let's move this around the circle, because I think that's what this committee is supposed to be about. So please feel free to send comments and suggestions as we continue to look into affordable housing.
Thanks, May.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Tom, your turn for municipal government and economic development.
Oh, I can see it's too long after the last one. There's two of them, though. Municipal government, Netherlands government uses all the tools at its disposal to be a progressive governance example for other small towns through transparency, creativity, dedication, and responsiveness to the needs and goals of the entire community. And I suggest that we break there and work on that before we move on to economic development. Any comments so far?
Is this 24.5?
Yeah, oh, no, this is 12.
I think it's 10 point.
My
Tom,
whole time.
Technicalities.
I think it's pretty concise because it covers all the things the government should be doing and how it should be doing those things. So I like it.
Yeah, I think we made, when you look at the 2020, end of the 2010 for that matter, I think we made enormous improvement in this space. And therefore, our group had some points. We're already working on some goals for this, but we spent more time on economic development.
May I make a suggestion?
Yeah, of course.
I would take out the uses all these tools at its disposal and just write Netherlands government strives to be or prioritizes
Or is.
Or is. Yes, is.
Okay.
The way it flows is that, yeah, it's not 24-point font now that we know that's the gold standard, but when reading it, everything flows so well that you're not getting caught up when reading it. So I do like the way it is, but I can see what Jill is also saying.
The tools at its disposal, I think, because of the goals that are going to flow out of this, and there's digitization, and we're even talking about going from a statutory government to a constitutional government. So we have a lot of tools that need to be used, and I think we put it in there because that seems to be the missing link. That we've got tools that we haven't used yet.
But I think you could just have it in your goals.
Fair enough. Somebody's agreeing with us in the background there.
Sorry about that. I also question the word progressive, and I'm just wondering if we would, if it would be more of a like inclusive governance. Just something I thought I'd add.
How do other people feel?
Let's go back and read how many times we use the word inclusive on all the other categories.
True. Is there a better word though? I mean, it's progressive, something maybe that.
So I think what you're saying, Jill, is you're looking for the community taking part in the governance. Is that it? The inclusive part? Okay.
Right.
Participatory would be a better one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
To be a part. I like
maybe
that.
Participatory.
Yeah, I like that.
Netherlands government is a participatory governance. Example. Oh, doesn't work.
Karen, can you?
You could say Netherlands participatory well, never mind. I need to play around with it a little bit. I do think we can edit it and get it down to something that's just a little bit more juicy.
Oh, I like juicy. You're so good at this, Karen.
Netherlands is a juicy community.
Perfect.
Karen, a little bit of instruction here. Since we are not wholly making our decisions ourselves about our community, how do we put anything, or do we put anything in there that says that we will work with the governmental partners that we might be?
I think that might be what uses all the tools at its disposal also refers to, because
Okay.
we have so many government partners, whether it's Boulder County Sheriff's Office with our nighttime policing, or, I mean, there's just so many of them across the board. So I think
Yeah.
that's included in that. That's one of the tools at our disposal.
That was
That was
our
the
intent.
That was the intent on this, and was the intent was to have the hooks on which to hang specific goals and legislative priorities, or goals for the 2030, so that they all fed out of the vision. And so things like the continuing to work with our regional and regional and federal partners would be part of those tools at the disposal, and be one of the goals that feeds out of this.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is how we shortened it.
And you could make that part of your goals if you wanted to. I mean, so Netherlands government is, so I've been taking notes. This is what I think we have so far. Netherlands government is participatory and an example for other small towns through transparency, creativity, dedication, and its responsiveness to the needs and goals of the community.
Yeah.
So just a little, that was asked to be taken out, but I don't know if you all agree about using all the tools at our disposal, and that it's progressive. So instead, I said participatory.
Yeah, it was just a suggestion, whatever you think.
Yeah, I could go either way on the two words that start with P. I don't have this, but the tools at its disposal we thought about before we put it in, and this is indeed the slimmed down version.
I mean, you could say Netherlands government is resourceful and participatory, or something. Resourceful, I don't know.
I don't know that accomplishes or that improves where we're at. How do other people feel?
Can you read that again, Karen? What you have, please?
Sure. And I'm not sure if it's where you guys want to be, but this is just from listening to the various recommendations. So just a sec. Netherlands government is participatory and an example for other small towns through transparency, creativity, dedication, and its responsiveness to the needs and goals of the community.
I like that.
Yeah.
Game on, group.
I like it either way. I mean, the shorter the better, but in this case, we want to get as much as we can into that too.
I like the new version, but I'm also gonna just shake things up and really say I still like the original version a lot. So I'm cool with either or. Both sound great.
Yeah, this is Billy. I'll say, yeah, there's something about the word precipitatory that just isn't flowing for me.
Participatory, Billy.
Precipitatory. Yeah, clearly it's not flowing. So I think I know how to say it, but the sound of it even doesn't quite seem to go on the T-shirt. I don't know why.
Precipitory is what we're looking forward to this weekend, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Definitely.
There's something also about
What do you
using.
think about the word progressive staying in that? Because I mean that is an excellent thing to be.
Yeah,
I
I
just
actually
wondered.
like the word progressive.
I also like the uses all the tools at its disposal. I think that's something about that community engaging and friendly, and I think that's really good to have for that dreamy vision statement.
It's also action oriented. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of like the original one.
I'm in favor of the original as well.
Me too.
Let's take the original
Yes.
to the public charrettes and see and get the public input on it.
Good. Economic development.
Sounds good.
Netherlands thrives in a robust, diversified, long-term, sustainable economy that prioritizes the needs of its citizens and both protects and leverages its precious natural setting.
I accidentally added in our comment to our group, so disregard that last part.
We can definitely get back to 20 point.
Yeah, exactly. See, I failed you because of that, so disregard that whole last section. That was an accidental leave-in.
Fair enough.
I love it. I love it.
Great. Comments, improvements, anything we can do here?
Sounds great.
Love it.
Neil, who's next?
All right.
All right, so it's the last one. Jill, your turn.
Okay. Parks, Recreation, and Open Space. Our community and its visitors, I think. Our community and its visitors enjoy ecologically sound and well-maintained parks, open space, and trails with recreational and cultural services and facilities while simultaneously protecting and enhancing the unique mountain ecosystem of which we are part.
What's the sound
We
part
found
in the
it-
first line?
Say that again?
The ecological or ecologically sound. What does that mean?
Means that we practice sound. We have sound practices for the ecology of the area, mountain ecology.
Okay, great. Looking at words that could be stricken is simultaneously necessary.
Probably not.
Seems like it could go.
Maybe. Well, enhancing the unique. Yeah, it's tight then. It really is. It's well crafted. Others?
How about instead of which we are a part? I wonder if it was like in which we live. We are a part is a funny way to end this sentence.
You could almost do away with of which we are a part.
In which we encompass?
Yeah.
Facilities while protecting and enhancing a unique mountain ecosystem.
I think
You could even
if,
say
Call it
our
our.
unique
Yeah.
mountain ecosystem.
Yeah.
if May is still on, it'd be great if she could explain that last phrase. Because she had a good explanation for why we should add
Okay.
that. Is she still on?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't able to get on earlier to make my comment about Netherlands government. I put it into chat to Karen and Miranda because I thought it was a little over the top. Anyway, apparently there's no interest in hearing that.
May, we can go, and I'm sorry, I don't know if I got it, but we can go back. Let's just finish this one and then we could quickly go back.
Yeah.
Okay.
So May, they're talking about the last part of our vision statement there, of which we are part.
Right. And the reason we wrote it that way is because we are talking about, and there's always been interest in this community in our historic roots. They go back before the days of mining and the powwows and so forth. And I can say I'm a little bit of a student, along with others on this committee, of Native American culture. And I think the reason we wanted to put it that way is to put we humans in the perspective of being a part of a larger whole. It kind of goes against certain you know, like religious tenets that man has dominion over the earth. It's really quite a different perspective. And there is a move by Boulder County, and they've been working on this for a while. They're working hard with the Cheyenne or Arapaho nations and some others. And there's been a lot of work done in the last decade since we had our last powwow, recognizing Native American wisdom. And Boulder County is going with it and recognizing Native American historic stewardship, and who knows where it's going to lead. But as we search for grants and a cultural identity, this is us apart from some of the sea towns. And that's why it was worded that way. It's made to make you think a minute.
I think it speaks to just the increased, just the sensitivity that we should have to this mountain ecosystem. I'm not sure if it's worded the way we want to word it, but I understand what you're saying there.
Any other feedback on this one?
I guess I'm looking, so it seemed like there was discussion about remove simultaneously, and
Yes.
and is that agreed upon? And then I guess the question is still kind of remains is everyone comfortable with kind of leaving it the way it ends with of which we are a part? If that's
I'm fine with that.
I like it. I do think it sets us apart, and it makes the point that we're not separate from the ecosystem that we live in. We're part of it. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and just take a step back and May, go ahead. Is it the municipal government one that you wanted to touch base on again? Looks like you're muted, May, if you're there.
I'm sorry, I'm back. Thank you for that opportunity. I get the discussion about uses all the tools, but sometimes you can stifle interaction by saying, oh, you copied the wrong statute or you had the wrong tool. So all I can say is that to me is a mixed bag. Maybe it has value, maybe it doesn't. So my version of it is Ned's government strives to be progressive and exemplary in public education, access and participation in town projects, transparency, and then keep going the way you had it, creativity, dedication, and its responsiveness to the needs and goals of the entire community. I like the end of it, but I think the beginning of it, why are we an example for other small towns? I don't think that. I think we're going to get laughed right out of the room on that one. But Chris, if you want to do it, I'd be game.
I'd put it up and let a charrette take a look at it.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I kind of
May, you said something. I kind of the middle part. Well, anyways, the beginning of that sentence, the first like 7 or 8 words, I kind of liked how you said. You used the word progressive, but you had some other word. What was that again? That's government.
Oh, instead of saying example for other small towns, I put in the word strives that many people were talking, and I think got it made into the thing or at one point. So I started the same Netherlands government, and then use all the tools maybe, and then go on to instead of to be progressive governance example, I say to be progressive and exemplary in public education, access and participation. So I changed the next couple words. The transparency, that hasn't worked. We've been saying that for a long time. So public education, I think, and outreach.
It doesn't
Act-
belong in government, I don't
Yeah,
think.
I don't think it does, but
No,
I
I
do
bet
like
you
the word
don't.
exemplary. I think exemplary. I mean, I kind of maybe do agree. I think, yeah, some of the middle part, I guess I don't necessarily see the value add in that, but progressive and exemplary, that to me has a bit of a ring to it. So, yeah.
Any other comment?
So perhaps if the goal is to add in the progressive and exemplary, can we maybe piece this together using May's recommendations and what's here? Because I think it's still a little piecemeal. At least that's how it seems to me. So I don't know,
think
Tom, if
so.
you've written it down or if you have some thoughts here.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. But we discussed the tools at his disposal already, and I'm disinclined to take that out.
I
think that it can be Netherlands government uses all the tools at its disposal to be a progressive and to be progressive. I'm trying to find what May said. To
Progressive
be
and exemplary.
exemplary.
Yeah, progressive and
Through-
exemplary
I
through
like
And transparency.
creativity, dedication. Yeah.
Yeah.
How does that work?
yeah.
And let's go our responsive list. I like the fact that on we've been doing we and our to bring it back to the community and to the people. Let's go
Good
our
point.
responsiveness to the needs and goals of the community.
Agreed.
Yep.
That's good for me.
Deal?
Karen, do you have that, or are you going to send it
Deal.
back to me?
You know, I just want to make sure I have it. So we're still saying Netherlands government uses all the tools at its disposal to be progressive and exemplary.
Mm-hmm.
I love
Through
it.
transparency, right?
Through
Exemplary,
transparency.
and then just finish it through
Through
transparency.
And its responsiveness to our needs and goals. Is that what you said, Chris?
And our
Or
responsiveness.
Our
is
responsiveness.
Good point.
Right?
Okay.
Okay.
That's
I think
something
I've got it, and I will send it to you, Miranda.
Thank you.
Oh shoot, I just lost it. Dang it.
Oh no.
Control Z.
I hate it when I do that.
I think
recorded.
I might have it.
We're
Yeah, it's
recorded.
recorded. I can go back.
I can do it. I can do
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But just keep this up.
I will keep this up. And then when Karen's ready, we'll move on. I just wanted to just thank you all. This, I think, was an awesome discussion about these vision statements, and I'm excited to move this on to the public charrettes, but I feel like it's a great framework to start from. So hopefully you all are feeling the same way.
It's been real fun. I've enjoyed the process.
Well, once Karen's ready,
I'm almost.
Karen, no pressure, but once she's ready.
You need to
Patient
use
an
more of the tools
hour.
at your disposal, Karen.
I don't know why I'm having such a hard time.
I think we're having a weird WebEx
Yes.
day.
I'm taking out the word entire because it feels to me like we took that out a while ago. Because when you say your community, that is the entire community.
Right.
Right?
Good point.
It's redundant.
Okay. All right. I think I got her.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We'll come our last 40 minutes together. We're just going to briefly talk about it. So we met with all of the subcommittee chairs 2 weeks ago and kind of touched base on this. And so really you'll be looking to your subcommittee chair to guide through this process. But next up, many of your subcommittees have already talked about this, is to do the goals and objectives, which really is going to specify how much of what will be accomplished by when. So I think everyone's familiar with SMART goals. As you develop your goals and objectives, you really want to make sure they meet the SMART statements here. So obviously they need to be specific. You're going to state exactly what it is that you want the community to do, and you need to use action words. You want to make sure it's measurable, and that's a big thing for the Board of Trustees. So as we are planning Envision 2030 with them, they wanted to make sure that we have set milestones we're going to try to meet over the next 10 years. And every year in that evaluation phase, the Board of Trustees is really going to make sure that we're meeting those markers. So the committee should really identify what are some of those target dates that you're looking for. Now that doesn't have to be done in this phase, I want to clarify. After the public charrette, after you get your feedback, that's when we're going to move into the targeted metrics. But just something to keep in mind, you know, the last thing we want you to do is set out a whole plan and the community doesn't have buy-in. So it's just more to keep on your radar. Obviously, it has to be something that we can achieve, something that's realistic for our community. I think it's really important to take a look at historically, where have we come? Can we typically accomplish in a year? And recognize that we may have 20 goals, but those are not going to happen in the next year. It needs to be relevant. It needs to make sense with your vision. It needs to make sense with what this community values based on those SWOT analysis. And then time bound. Again, that goes back to the metrics. You're not going to set the time frame yet, but in the May, when we get really down to the specifics, that's when you're going to focus on the time bound time frame section. Are there questions about what we're looking for as you head into the goals and objectives section of this components phase? Okay, you all are experts. We'll be here to guide. Yeah, go ahead, Karen.
Miranda, I remember in the documentation, there was a plus A or plus something. I forget what on this acronym, SMART, there was okay, never mind, it's not important.
Is there a plus?
Yeah, there was another letter.
My apologies. Oh, okay. This is just, I just kind of took this image because I felt like it captured more of the pieces. Now there's, I think to Karen's point, there's a lot of different spin-offs of SMART goals. Obviously, I think the biggest takeaway for the components phase is to be specific, make sure it's relevant to what you're working on as a subcommittee, and make sure that we can achieve it, something we truly can accomplish within this next decade. And again, like your vision statements, your goals and objectives will come back before this committee for an initial round of feedback, but ultimately you're going to be looking for the community to drive this. I think Kayla kind of mentioned that briefly, is while you're the steering committee behind this, it's the community's feedback that will really shape your goals and objectives. You're just giving them a framework to work off of. All right, so what's currently happening in town? So thank you to those of you who already took a look at this document. Karen offered me some feedback. Oh, if I can get it to you. Sorry, bear with me for one moment. But I sent to you all. Deb had asked for this, and so my hope, Deb, is I'm on track with what you were looking for. But what we did is we pulled together the different areas of focus, both for town departments as well as boards and commissions. So I want to just clarify with this document, this is very much town government specific. I can't obviously comment on what's happening at the library or the Carousel of Happiness. We added the contact information for them because it's encouraged that you reach out to them. But it just kind of gives you an idea of what's on our radar now. So again, oh, go ahead. Oh, maybe not. So
I think that was feedback.
Okay, I have it. So at the top, we've got clerk's department, public works, and everything Chris is working on. The things the police department are tackling. Not only do I give you the area of focus, I provide just some initial information about that task. And then I give you a link for where you can find more information. More often than not, this link takes you directly to a board packet, agenda packet. But again, in our aims and all the supplemental information, you really can learn a lot about that project. I also included in here the contact information for the best person to talk to. So for example, Dawn may be the most appropriate person to reach out to. And while I have like Backdoor Theater listed here, which we know Kayla's involved with, we're just trying to streamline who you could talk with first. So I also included the Visitor Center. Board of Trustees is really more specific to tasks that the board has asked town to work on, the town staff to work on, and the status of that. Downtown Development Authority, Planning Commission, ProSab and SAB. And then all the way at the bottom here, I added just some common special events that happen, and then community organizations. And what's in red here is the recommendations that Karen gave me, Karen Blakemore, to integrate into this document. So I've added a few more because we couldn't think of everything. So I know not all of you will have had a chance to look this over, but is there any thoughts or any kind of glaring items that you wish we would have provided more information on?
Well, Miranda, I can tell you, I tried most of the links. They all.
You said they all work?
Yeah.
Oh, good. That's good. I hope they take you to the right place. Ultimately,
they did.
Okay,
yeah.
Good.
Quick question.
Yeah.
I think you're just because you're scrolling up and down and whatnot. Maybe I missed it. Did you by chance include Claudia, who is part of Niche or the Netherlands Homelessness Outreach?
No, I did not. So thank you. I will add her in here.
She is an immaculate human being. So I would love to see her info on that if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Now, she's no
also
longer with Mitch, just so you know, but I am on that committee, and there's a new person, Bridget, and I can give Miranda all that contact information.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah, and it was Hanson and Claudia really were the dynamic duo, and unfortunately we're losing them both. But Bridget was volunteering the last couple years, and actually last summer she helped with the program pretty intensely.
Is there such a thing still as the Forest Watch? That community group that was watching over the forest?
Is that not? I'm not overly familiar with Fourth too. Is that not the same?
That's fallen by the wayside. There's no one who's really taken the lead on that since Joe gave up.
Okay, I wondered. Okay, thanks.
So Miranda, you'll make this available.
Wait a minute. I don't.
Yes.
What do you mean? There's still a multi-party monitoring group, though. It may not be
Totally different group.
Well, we should put the MMG on a liaison.
It's
perhaps,
on there. It's on there, May.
Under
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't on what I sent out earlier, May. Karen Blakemore had given that feedback, so I added it this afternoon.
Oh, well, I have you guys on there. Didn't we have a CPAW thing going on? Is there a link for them?
Yes, so there is a link under, I can't even, I think I have it under Board of Trustees. Yes. So under Board of Trustees is the CPAW Community Planning Assistance for Wildfire.
Oh, excellent. Okay,
And
thank you.
yeah, this link will take you to the board packet, which takes you to their recommendations.
Okay, thanks.
It's a lot to sort through, so I apologize in advance, but we do feel like it's a pretty comprehensive list. We also provided a column of which subcommittees we feel like it might connect with the most. Sorry, spelling error. So that's something to look at as well. Now, I'm not saying that's exactly who needs to potentially take this on and look at it. It's just who we feel like it might fit best with if you're interested in discussing it.
Hey, Miranda.
It was incredibly helpful. Thanks for putting it together.
Yeah, and Deb, yes.
Yeah, this is really good. I noticed that there was a couple areas where there was no links, like I guess that ProSab has resurfaced the discussion around a pump track, but there's no link to that. It says they're talking with a private contractor about a pump track he is interested in building. I would be very interested in the link that led to that discussion, saying that we've been here before.
Yeah, so I can send audio. So the challenge with the audio is the way WebEx files are not compatible with Civic Web. So So I'm working to get that fixed so we can upload them onto where we would normally put our meeting minutes, the audio for that. I can send you access to those. I don't have a link because there's just no documentation stored anywhere about this yet. It's just really intro conversations, but we would have the audio from the meetings where that's discussed.
Okay, yeah, I'd be really interested in documentation and like, yeah, the whole discussion around this, because this was a huge conversation before. So thank you.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And again, you know, I didn't want to inundate you all with links. So where you do have links is what I feel like is the best option to give you information. Now, if there's one area of focus on here that you'd like us to send you everything we have about it, you know, there's likely a chance we're in possession of maybe supplemental documents. We would just need to know what it is that your committee is looking for. And to answer Karen's question, yes, this will go up into Google Docs. It does have some people's cell phone numbers, and so I'm likely going to remove those before I upload it. Because, like, for example, I don't know if Jessie Ansari wants her cell phone number as public information. So I think that's the only change that I'll do is I may remove some identifying contact just for their sake. We'll leave obviously all of town staff, but any of the private entities, I may remove those from what is made public.
Makes sense.
All right, so enjoy your time with that document. And if there's anything else we're missing, like niche or niche, we'll add it in. We just need you to give us a shout out of whatever you feel like we need to incorporate.
I went ahead and emailed you the contact information, the website, and so forth.
Awesome.
Miranda for niche.
Thank you, Karen. So hopefully that gets you an idea of what's going on from a town staff standpoint. All right, important dates.
Thank you for putting that together.
Yeah, thanks for driving that process, Deb. I appreciate it. You know, Atashna actually recommended that we maybe town does something like that quarterly and releases it on our website or something so people are aware of all the things going on, because I think more often than not, we don't look at it in that really comprehensive, overarching way. And there are a lot of moving pieces.
That's great. Yes.
I agree. So I think that's what we'll do next. Okay, next steps. So you're going to work on your goals and objectives. The plan is to bring back your drafts, your ideas of what you're working on at the next full committee meeting, which is on the 23rd, for again feedback like we did tonight with the vision statements. Your subcommittees need to finalize your vision statements, goals, and objectives by 5 o'clock on Thursday, April 1st. And then we will present those to the Board of Trustees, and that will be step 1 in the public vetting. We'll get their feedback first. Then throughout the month of April, it's really dedicated to gaining feedback through presentations at advisory boards and commissions and public charrettes. I know there's been a lot of questions about the public charrettes. I will tell you that we're still working on the logistics of that, so I can kind of just speak broadly to it right now. But the plan is that the next time we meet on the 23rd, we will have a lot more of the details about how both the in-person and virtual meetings will be structured. Obviously, the goal of that is to get feedback from the community on the vision, goals, and objectives so that we can really tighten those up and be ready to move on to the specifics phase of setting those timelines and the goal for execution. Any questions in our last few minutes together, 20 minutes? Anything else you all are looking for information on right now?
No, I think we're making good progress.
This is Karen. Do you have any recommendation on the number of goals and objectives?
So I don't. I was doing a little research to see if there was kind of a standard recommendation. I don't know, Karen, Garrity, if you have some thoughts. Envision 2020, each goal was a little bit different. Some were way longer and more in depth than others. And so maybe as this committee, we could make that determination.
This is Karen. I think in these cases, you don't want to have fewer than 3, and I don't recommend more than 5, because goals can really include a lot, and then when you start breaking into objectives and tactics and those kinds of things, you can get even more specific. But goals tend to be more general. So anyways, I would say not less than 3 and try to not go above 5.
And then,
So the answer was 4.
Not necessarily. 3 might be your sweet point.
I'm
And
kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, I'm a big believer in less is more.
okay.
That being said, some of you have very complex, multifaceted. Yeah.
So, and then are you saying that's number of goals and then maybe objectives underneath those goals? Or what? Or you were just saying 3 to 5 goals / objectives?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sort of using that interchangeably. I know Miranda's kind of driving this process because she's studied this particular way of doing this envisioning exercise. So I don't know if she wants to speak more to if there'll be subcategories under the goals, or if the goals and objectives are just one and the same.
Yes, so you should have goals and then subcategories underneath the goals. And I think a few committees have already started down that path, but that ideally is what you should do. So if we land on 3 goals, then you can do a spin-off of objectives from there.
Okay. Sounds
Does every
good.
committee feel comfortable doing 3 goals? I mean, I think Karen brings up a great point, like arts, culture, and education. That's a lot to take on and only have 3 goals for.
Well,
That's why I said, or up to 5 if it's more complicated, and maybe you find you need to have 6. There really isn't a hard and fast rule.
all right.
You just want to keep your people engaged. You want to keep your readers engaged, and you want to be compelling, that kind of thing.
And I think it goes back to being that relevant and, again, recognizing what we can accomplish. Well, I think town, even the Board of Trustees probably has a million goals they want to work on. What is really realistic amongst all the other things that we do? And I think that spreadsheet also speaks to, that's just what we're doing here in March in 2021, and then think about that maybe is town's regular life, that many projects going on at one time. And so how much can we feasibly take on over the next decade?
Yeah, and we did get feedback on the Envision 2030 survey that people thought we should do less to accomplish more. Like they thought that the town was spread too thin. So that kind of speaks to maybe a small number of goals. Or
I think it would be interesting to cross-reference the 2020 envisioning with the 2030 envisioning to see how many of the goals are the same and why those weren't accomplished, or what the obstacles were to them coming to fruition, and if we are facing the same obstacles. And we're just talking about goals. We haven't even begun to delve into the process of the obstacles that each one will provide.
Well,
Thoughts?
that's a good point, and it brings me to the question that maybe we should. I think if we were to do that, Kayla, I bet you, see if you agree with me, we'd probably have to, as you've been saying, it's all a part of a whole. So if we're going to talk about housing, we have to talk about traffic. I'm not even sure what committee. I'm surprised we don't have a traffic committee. Maybe we should create one, but maybe we could. I was, my mind got a little bit hung up on the last frame. Miranda, can you push it back one page? But if you can, it's about the public charrettes and about how some of it's going to be virtual and some of it's going to be in person. And so could you walk? I remember when we did the 94 one that we had a number of places where we had this information out, like at the library. Back in those days, we had a place at BNF, at the co-op, different places around town, the community center, where people could just casually run into it. And because we've always had that thing where people pick up their information, maybe from their neighbor, maybe at the store, maybe online. So, and I'm wondering if it's in person, what would that be like?
So the original thought, and I think there is a way to do it socially distant, is that in person there would be 7 different stations, one for each subcommittee, where people could come around and all of the goals and objectives and vision statement are written out on a large board, and they could give their feedback. I know previous charrettes, people have written down on sticky notes some of their thoughts and suggestions, but allows them to have that real-time interaction in person. And we're also looking to do the same thing through a virtual event where you would log into, say, WebEx, and you'd be able to break out into different rooms, virtual breakout rooms, to again give that feedback related to the vision, goals, and objectives. I mean, we could, I know we've made, so for all of you to know, Deb had a great idea of making a QR code. So we are in possession of a QR code that takes you straight to the Envision website page. I mean, we can still do the same thing where people can scan a QR code and be able to see all of our vision, goals, and objectives and email feedback. We can do flyers, encouraging people to either come in person to a charrette or give feedback on our website. I think there's a lot of creative ways that we can kind of use the old ways that charrettes were done, as well as incorporating the virtual setting.
Will the timing be right to do something at farmers market?
Farmers market doesn't start until May. So okay. I think the timing, I still think there's an opportunity to still get feedback. I think at that point you'll be moving into your specifics phase, but it doesn't mean you can't still incorporate what people have to say. So we were planning to have a booth at the farmers market anyways, just to see if anyone has additional thoughts. Kind of like how we've kept the SWOT analysis open. We're not trying to close the time frame for giving feedback. That's very much open, you know, up until the adoption of the final document.
Yeah, I've gotten feedback from community members that that's how they have participated in the past was farmers market.
Okay, I think their first one is the 9th of May.
Is there any way we can communicate somewhat through BVSD, like specifically Ned? Because we get mails most days from BVSD. Those of us who have kids still in schools. It just might hit some of the people that wouldn't see it in other places.
Yes, I know Karen has more of an established relationship with the school system than I do. So Karen, do you have thoughts on that?
You mean, are you just asking, Billy, is there a way for us to involve like youth and teens in the process?
No, like specifically like Caleb and Rick. I mean, Caleb sends out a weekly memo that, you know, all the parents in the elementary school get. And
sure.
I may be wrong,
sure.
but I'm guessing the principal of the middle high school does the same thing. And
sure. So
that's always in my inbox at least once a week, you know.
So you're asking basically to see if we can get something added to the school electronic newsletter so the parents know.
Yeah, not so much BVSD, I guess it should be specific, but the net schools, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, and Teens Inc. and that sort of
Yep.
thing. I did want to say though that I have been approached by Michael from the library. He's very interested in getting the teen voice, which I think would be amazing, into Envision 2030 and putting a survey together. So he's going to talk to his coworkers and then get back to me with some ideas they have for a simple survey for teens, which I think is a great idea. But yeah, we can definitely reach out to the schools and see if they could put something out in their newsletters.
Thanks.
And so when we come together on the 23rd, that's the next time we're all back together. What we'll be looking for, in addition to spending some time on your goals and objectives, is we'll outline the charrette and be looking for your feedback on what we're proposing on how we would obtain public feedback. We have 13 minutes left together. Are there any other questions or any other needs right now? We stay on time here, Lee.
And you could have those 13 minutes back in your evening if you are complete.
Which I think we are.
I just want to give a big shout out to Miranda. She has kept us organized. She has really led the charge on this process. And I just got to give a big old kudos to her. She's added a lot of hours to her work week, and she's doing it with a positive attitude. And so thank you, Miranda. Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you.
You're awesome, Miranda.
Thank you all. We
Miranda.
appreciate everything you've done thus far. So back to our subcommittees, and we'll reconnect in 2 weeks.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Thank
Great
you,
discussion.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good